pick some winners and then we say, let's go. So come on.
Happy Hump Day. Welcome into a live edition of Betting Weekly Hardball. I am Doug Kezirian alongside professional bettor Chris Macero with 3 games going on right now on the diamond. We have some others to break down as well. Busy time of year with the home stretch, so to speak, in Major League Baseball. Chris, good to be with you.
Yeah, great to be with you, Doug. It feels like we haven't been together in a while, and I'm not sure if that's true or not. I feel like I haven't been on the show in like a long time. I guess I was on early last week, and here we are again. We got a bunch of games going on right now. Usually the day games tend to lead towards unders, but not so fast. We got a bunch of runs scored early in these 3 games.
Yeah, it's exactly a week ago that we were last together, by the way. I just checked the schedule while you were talking. I really wanted to bet Rasmussen and the Rays in this spot against Cleveland that they did finally get on the board yesterday. Actually got a win after 3 straight shutouts, but he's a pitcher that's been absolutely on fire, and the Rays currently lead 3-1. That game right now through 3. So Tampa was the road chalk around $1.50. Now it's up to $5.90. 2.5 is the run line with your over under 8.5. But we are getting some runs elsewhere. Braves lead 6-0, bottom third in Miami. Yankees lead 5-0, bottom third in the Bronx. Lead off double. So they are opening up a can on the Nationals yet again, which has been the case the last couple of days. It's interesting to see if Judge in the MVP race with Cal Raleigh after he hit his 50th dinger. So that's been certainly a tighter race than we expect. As for the 3 games going on right now, Chris, across baseball, any action you think could be a good wager, whether it be laying a big number in these blowouts or, delivering with the Rays? You mentioned some over-unders a second ago. Anything catch your eye?
Well, it seems like the wind's blowing out at a Yankee Stadium. Judge went deep, so that's your point for the MVP race. He's still chasing Raleigh there. And Bellinger went deep as well. So the wind seems to be blowing out to right. There was just a fly ball that just dropped at the warning track. Both of the Nationals outfielders were looking at each other. They didn't get their ground rule double. So it looks like, if anything, you maybe get into something of a live over here just because the wind seems to be blowing out. Beautiful sunny day, Yankee Stadium. Besides that, it just seemed weird, though, this morning. I looked at these games, and, it seemed like they were begging you to bet overs, which usually means unders. I mean, they put up a 7 for the Rasmussen game. We got 4 runs already in that one. It was only 8.5 at Yankee Stadium, and with the wind blowing a little bit to right, you'd figure something was up with that. But, sometimes the trend is wrong, and these games seem like they're all going to be going over. We got a couple home runs in the Marlins game as well. Braves took an early 6-0 lead. So it looks like all 3 of these games are going to go over.
I mentioned the potential of unders. A lot of times that happens middle of the week with getaway day. Yankees head to Chicago to face the White Sox tomorrow, so it's a getaway day for them. Both the Braves and Marlins are traveling as well after this game. So Marlins are at home and they go on the road. I mentioned the Yankees, Tampa and Cleveland. Neither of those teams play tomorrow, so not getaway day, a bye day, if you will, an off day. But yeah, we've seen some runs. Rasmussen in control of this Guardians offense that is just putrid. Like I said, 3 straight shutouts. They do get the win yesterday with a couple runs, but for the most part, Guardians have not been hitting. I would look to lay the 2.5. I know it's a quote unquote bad number after you could have laid $1.50 in the money line, but I love what Rasmussen's doing. I love what the Rays can do in this game. If you're on the West Coast and woke up late like I did, maybe Tampa is the play if you want to tail it. But, I don't see the Guardians coming back in this game, at least. Skip out. I thought we lost you for a sec, Chris. You good?
Well, to your point, the Guardians yesterday, I played a couple player props on the Guardian side, couple of hitters, and they had 3 hits in the first inning, 3 runs, and that was it. The rest of the game, the game was over. It was 3-0. That was the final score. They never got another hit the rest of the game. So to your point, the Guardians' offense is anemic at best. Maybe look at a live under. You're getting an extra run. It was 7, now it's 8. So maybe something at a live under because you figure they're not going to be scoring much on their end. And like I said, Rasmussen's been lights out on the road. Really solid pitcher this year. So maybe a live under at 8.
Yeah, it's actually 8.5, but the juice is there, $1.32. Now you can adjust things with the sliding scale on the Bet Rivers app. Under 8 would be minus 107. So much more palpable money line price, all things considered. And just a reminder, if you like what you hear on our shows, you can sign up for the newsletter, get exclusive tips and the free Insider magazine. Sign up for free at bettingweeklystudios.com. So we'll keep an eye on all these games. There has not been another score since we last updated you on the scores going on right now across Major League Baseball. Let's get into some games that are coming up later in the day. Red Sox have been taking it to the Orioles in Camden Yards. Bayo's on the bump against Ends of Baltimore. Fairly cheap price, all things considered, for Boston. I've wanted to pull the trigger the last couple of days. I have not done it. Bayo last week was involved in a very low-scoring game. I usually like backing him at home because I think he's kind of mastered the intimidation, so to speak, of the Green Monster at Fenway Park, but he pitched great against the Yanks. So I would be inclined to bet Bayo here. I think the Red Sox are just kind of, they've had to come back a little bit against Baltimore, but they're in a groove a little bit. What say you as the Red Sox fan here?
Yeah, I mean, not as a homer pick, but I really like Bayo. I've been preaching about him all season long. He's gone 16 of his last 17 outings with 3 earned runs or less. He had that one hiccup against the Padres where he gave up 5 earned runs. So he's 103 innings, 103 and 2/3 innings, only 32 earned runs, 2.80 ERA. He has the same exact ERA at home and the road, so nothing to really worry about there. They seem to score for him a little bit more at Fenway, but I still like them here. He's got good stats against the Orioles, and you got Ends pitching, a left-handed pitcher. He only has 2 starts, 15 appearances all year, 4.97 ERA. The Red Sox are 6th in the league versus left-handed pitching at a tune of 258. So the Red Sox have been hitting lefties fairly well. And like you mentioned, they're in a little bit of a groove. The Orioles haven't scored many runs the last couple games. They scored 3, 3, and 0, so only 6 runs the last 3. I look for the Red Sox to get the sweep today.
Yeah, so you want to make an official play there? I was itching to pull the trigger. I haven't yet, but what about you?
Yeah, I'm an official play. 132 looks really good to me. The opponents, all opponents together versus Ends are hitting 303. So this is a Red Sox lineup that can hit. They put a lot of different moving parts. I'm not always keen on the lineups that Cora sets. Sometimes, the other night he had back-to-back opportunities to get an insurance run, and he lets Connor Wong and David Hamilton bat. They both struck out, and but then last night Hamilton hits a home run. So, a guy who hasn't been able to get many hits at all, he hits a home run last night. So, sometimes Cora just does what he does, and the things work out. But the Red Sox lineup seems to be hitting well, and I'm not a big fan of Ends. Orioles lost 2 in a row. Red Sox won 2 in a row. Let's get the sweep.
All right, good stuff. Obviously, Boston with an eye on the postseason. That's not something Baltimore can say. Let's check in on our San Diego Padres because in July we took them plus 1,800 to win the National League West. They at one point had a 1-game lead over the Dodgers. That's no longer the case. The Blue Crew has the 1-game lead. Mariners home today with Wu on the bump, going against Darvish. Now, Darvish has pitched pretty well in some big games of late. He pitched well against the Dodgers recently, but for the most part, he's been shaky. It's kind of weird. He has stepped up in big games, but not delivered in sort of medium pressure games. But obviously, the Mariners are favored here at home. It's been an interesting series with comebacks, things along those lines. Mariners minus 139. We also have that futures bet that is lurking. I'm wondering whether it's time to pull the trigger with a hedge. It all depends on the price. It's minus 265 right now at Bet Rivers to play the Dodgers to win the National League West. So that's one thing to consider. Maybe some of our audience tailed. I would maybe do what our initial to win back our money. It would be one way to do it. What's your read on this game or the National League West on how to approach things?
Well, I mean, I have big futures on the Red Sox for Division II. So Arizona, because that's where DraftKings is, and DraftKings is the only one that allows you to parlay the divisions in baseball. So I took a pretty decent size hedge. I parlayed the Dodgers with Toronto. So as long as the Yankees don't come roaring back and beat both Boston and Toronto, I'll have something good. Because if the Padres win the division, I have the big 18-1. If the Red Sox win the division, I have multiple things closing to the Red Sox. So that's just one way to do it. If you were just going to do it, just solely with the Padres, I mean, obviously, You want the Padres to somehow get back to that 1-game lead or 2-game lead. They have a more favorable schedule. They have 7 more with the Rockies still. So you could kind of hold off a little bit longer. Dodgers are playing well right now. You know, they got the 2 in a row versus the Reds. Ohtani goes tonight. So if this game is tough, I just can't trust you, Darvish, especially on the road. I'm going to root for the Padres. They got a nice win last night. You know, they got the grand slam early. They're up 5-0. They blow the lead. I mean, if you had Padres first 5, that's a brutal, brutal beat. So I'm gonna stay away from this game. Hopefully the Padres can pull it off. I just can't trust you, Darvish.
I was going to save that venting session for when we get to the Giants and Cubs game, because I had the Cubs yesterday on this show. First 5 had a 2-1 lead, so not nearly the same bad beat, but the 2-out rally for the Giants get back-to-back hits to tie the game and then win. But I am going to make an official play. I'm going to bet the Mariners minus 139. It's what you touched on too. I can't back you, Darvish. Surprisingly, he has stepped up, like I said a moment ago, in some monster games against the Dodgers and some other ones. But for the most part, just doesn't have his overwhelming stuff that maybe he did earlier in his career. I like Wu here. Mariners have not quite delivered after that initial surge after the trade deadline when they brought in the big bats, but they've done enough here. Home field, late innings. I'll roll with the M's here, minus $1.39. We continue to have no scores since we updated you. That under that Chris told you about, still at 8 between the Rays and Guardians. Tampa with the lead on the road. In Cleveland, Yanks have some runners on, still 5-0 as they bat in the bottom of third with 1 out, and they're in the 4th here in Atlanta, 6-0. Runner on first and 1 out. Some of the live lines have basically stayed the same. You mentioned Ohtani on the bump for the Dodgers as they host the Reds. Lodolo going for Cincy. This Reds team, I thought was a little dangerous maybe in the opener with Hunter Green, but the Dodgers do mash righties. They got to him in a couple innings, so that was good for LA to get back on track. Kershaw delivers yesterday, so the Dodgers sort of flexing their muscles why they had such optimism because they can beat you in so many ways throughout the course of a regular season. Now, obviously, that can be different come playoff time, but they're facing a lefty here in Lodolo. I would not bet the Dodgers here because they're still among the worst records in baseball since I want to say the All-Star break or something obscene like that. What about you? I know you're kind of anti-Ohtani on the bump or anti-Dodgers. What do you see here?
Well, as we speak, the Yankees hit another home run to right field. It is now 8-0. So if you hopped on that live over, something to keep rolling with, because the wind seems to be blowing out. It seems like there's a jet stream. Every single ball going to right field is going to the same exact spot, and most of them are making it over the fence. So 8-0 Yankees. As for this Dodger game, listen, we mention it all the time. Since Ohtani's come back, he's dismantled. He's pretty much sabotaged his own team's bullpen. You know, it's Ohtani who makes the rules on this team. He decides when he's going to pitch, what he's going to do. He's basically the general manager of the team. And, since he's been back, not so good for the Dodgers, especially his last 8 starts. He's 2-6. His last 4 starts, the team record is 0-4. So for all the good that Ohtani brings, his record as a starter, the team record, he's pitched fairly well, but he doesn't pitch that much. His last 2 starts, not too good at all. 8 1/3, 9 hits, 9 earned runs. Opponents batting pretty high the last couple games. He's only getting to 4 innings, and he's really just putting a big strain on the bullpen. So I could not play the Dodgers tonight. I don't like to back the Reds off a 2-game losing streak. Lodolo coming off the disabled list. He had a situation with his finger. He's pitched fairly well, 5-4 with a 2.18 on the road. So I would be Reds or pass just due to the fact that Ohtani gets these inflated numbers. I mean, minus 200 for a guy that's the team's lost 4 straight when he's pitched because he doesn't pitch long enough. And he hasn't pitched well lately. So this would be Reds or pass. I haven't made a play in this game yet, but I'm going to be looking more into it. I just don't feel like the Dodgers bullpen, is that good at all. And especially, it's going to be used because he doesn't go more than 4 innings. So just a weird predicament. Obviously, they're not going to send him down to AAA because they need his bat in the lineup. He's pretty much the MVP of the league. But it just really has sabotaged their bullpen with only these short stints. The guy's only pitched 27 1/3 innings since he's been back. And he's pitched a lot of games, 1 inning, 2 innings, 3 innings. So that puts a toll on the bullpen. We talked about it. Not a good record since he's been back pitching. I would look for the Reds, but I haven't made a play yet.
All right. And he puts a strain on the bullpen, as you've alluded to, and it's not a great bullpen. So He did go kind of deep in some games, the 5th or 6th inning, so maybe he's working himself up. But we'll keep an eye on that. But like you mentioned, Lodolo off the injured list. We'll see what transpires, but it does seem like a hefty price to back for the Dodgers with Ohtani on the bump. You mentioned the home run, so it's still bottom third. Yanks up 8-0. Braves threatening again. It's top 4, 2 on, 2 out, 6-0, and they're through 4 in Cleveland. It's 3-1 with the Rays at the lead on the road. That over under live market is now 7.5. So it's gone from 8 minus 107 to 7.5 minus $1.18. So certainly some moving lines, all things considered. Hey, get up to a 100% profit boost on your MLB same game parlay today. Opt in at Bet Rivers and get your MLB midweek profit boost on any same game parlay with odds of plus 100 or longer. Check the Bet Rivers app for full details. You mentioned the schedule coming up for the Padres with the Rockies on tap. I believe you said 7 games, but not so fast, as Lee Corso would say, because the Rockies won as major underdogs yesterday. Minus 350 were the Astros with Hunter Brown on the bump, and the Rockies dominated from the start. Wow. If you laid run line, hey, it saved you some juice if they're all about that. But the Astros back as big favorites today, minus 305, hosting Colorado. So it is in Houston. Valdez on the bump. Dollander goes for the Rockies. Now, Valdez has been shaky this year. Very, very concerning if you were to play it. The over-under is 8. All of a sudden, the Rockies can hit. Chris, you've backed the Rockies in the past at times, trying to catch the falling knife, as they say, hoping to bet the Rockies maybe to score some runs. What do you think about this matchup? Can they make it 2 in a row?
Yeah, I was surprised to see the total only at 8. I mean, Framber Valdez, since that Red Sox start, which we mentioned before, he's been kind of just in disarray. He's only gone 23 innings, 31 hits, 19 earned runs, 7.33 ERA his last 4 starts. He hasn't got out of the 6th inning. I'm not really sure why this total is so low. Sometimes it's just a fishy thing, and maybe no one scores. Maybe it's because the Astros bats have been pretty weak as well. The Rockies got 6 runs last night. Astros only 1. But tonight, on the other side, you got Dollander, 2-10 with a 6.91 ERA. He's pitched okay on the road with no wins, though. 0-5, 3.95. It's an interesting stat. The last time they faced Dollander versus the Astros, 2 2/3 innings, 7 hits, 6 earned runs, 12 guys came to bat, 8 guys got a hit. So I would assume both of these teams are going to hit the ball a little bit tonight, and with a hitter-friendly ballpark in Houston. I think 8 is pretty much a bargain. I'm gonna play over in this game. I was going to look at Colorado team total over, but they have a tendency not to score sometimes. So I'm just going to go with the over in this game. It's a favorable hitters matchup tonight with 2 pitchers not doing too well, and Framber with the big name. I know he's got good stats, 11-7, 3.32, but lately he's been awful, 7.33 the last month. I look for this game to have some runs, and I'm going to play over 8.
Okay. Yeah, I know what you mean. Valdez alluded to it, but it's that Sunday game, I believe. He matched up against Giolito at Fenway Park, and he just hasn't been the same since that game. We've touched on it a couple times. It's really surprising, but, don't overthink it. Maybe the market just incorporates season-long stats as opposed to how he's looked recently. We talk about it with Albert on some other baseball shows. He puts a heavier weight on recent play and doesn't worry about regression that much. Different, we talk about, I'm sure golf, it's part of the golf conversation. Is it recent form, course history, things along those lines? It's nice to have those differing opinions and different sort of approaches, all things considered. So let's keep it moving here. No play for me on this game. So you're on the over 8. I like it. I certainly support it. Who doesn't like New York is the Phillies. Mets taking care of business the last couple games, walk it off. They've now trimmed the deficit in the NL East with the Phillies to 5 games, going for the 3-game sweep today. The Mets have absolutely owned Philly. I think it's 23 of 29 home meetings for New York. So they're doing really well against the Fighting Phils. They still have a 4-game set left in the regular season in Philly. So this division is far from done. McClain, the youngster, goes for the Mets. Walker goes for the Phillies. It looks like a pretty big money line I can't get involved at $1.55, Chris, but I also want no part of the Phillies in the underdog role. What about you?
Well, another home run by the Yankees. Everybody drink. Ben Rice goes deep to right field again. So it's now 9-0 Yankees. And hope anyone hopped on that live over because that's looking good. As for Phillies Mets, your point, it's been complete ownage. Mets have won 5 straight at home at Citi Field this year versus the Phillies. You got Walker, who's been he had a couple good starts. He was pitching pretty well during the day. This is obviously a night game. He's got back-to-back losses versus the Nationals. So maybe the wheels are falling off for him. And we got this young kid, McLean, 2 starts, 1.46 ERA. He's got 15 strikeouts, 2 starts, 2 wins versus Seattle and Atlanta. So you got to like what he's doing. And the Mets are just so good at home, 43-24. That's just one of those things. It's just a complete outlier. A team that's, right there for the division, right there for the wild card. But with such a great home record, they're just a total different team at home versus on the road. I'm going to jump on board with the Mets. I played them a little earlier at -146. I like McLean. I like the fact that the Mets are heating up. Talked about it last week. I was joking with a bartender. He said the Mets are waiting for the end of August and September to heat up. Everyone else has already peaked, and the Mets are going to get hot. And maybe they are. They're 7-3 their last 10. They're great at home. Phillies Citi Field's a house of horrors for them. So let's go with the Mets tonight as another official play.
Okay. I like it. Staying hot with the Mets. There's a vibe right now at Citi Field. The crowd feeding off it. They open up a can on Monday. They win the dramatic game yesterday. So a little bit of everything. And like you said, this team at home is really tough and all year, but especially against the Phillies. So I want no part of the Phillies, like I said, but you'll get involved with the Mets at that price. I mentioned the rough beat I had, not a big beat, not a brutal beat, but it was the Cubs game and the Giants. So the Cubs offense just couldn't get it going. I had first 5 and game yesterday, and the Cubs were up 2-1, bottom 5, had 2 outs, and Matthew Boyd just couldn't get out of it. And the Giants got the 3-2 lead, then popped a home run to win 5-2. Now it's Ray going against Whisenhunt in San Francisco. It is still a night game, even though it's Wednesday. Cubs road chalk here. I just can't pull the trigger. This Giants team I thought was left for dead. They've shown life. The Cubs have not. Remember, in August, they were like 112-1 to the over. So a bunch of unders. The Bats woke up last weekend in Anaheim against the Angels a little bit, but it's back to scoring woes. So I just can't get involved. Frankly, if anything, I'd look to the under.
Yeah, it's like one of those ballparks. It seems like the Cubs need the wind to be blowing out, or they need to be in a favorable hitter's park to hit. And, when you're up in San Fran, that's just not the case. That's one of those places where the wind's always blowing in. It's tough to score at night. They have, they're near the water. It's one of those parks that just doesn't allow a lot of runs. And to your point, they're not hitting. I kind of thought this was going to happen when they went to Anaheim, but they did well in Anaheim. But I can't back Whisenhunt either. I mean, the guy only pitches 4 innings, 4 1/3, 4 1/3, 5 1/3, 5 innings. He's only pitched 4. He's only had 4 starts. He's just not a guy I'm going to back. And Ray, he's got a pretty weak opponent's batting average against the Giants, which is odd because the Giants don't hit much. But 12 for 30 at a 400 clip, this Giants lineup. So I'm going to steer clear of this game. I don't like the way the Cubs are playing, and you figure the Giants are kind of hot 3 in a row, but I can't back Whisenhunt because he just doesn't go deep in the game. So I'm just going to steer clear of this one.
You're not interested in under or anything like that, 8.5, just given how the Bats are performing.
Maybe lean under. I'd have to check the wind blowing at that Pac Bell or whatever they call the stadium now. But maybe an under. Yeah, I mean Giants don't put up many runs, and when the Cubs bats go cold, they really go cold, and we've seen it a bunch this year, especially when there's wind blowing in. They seem like a team that needs the wind to always be blowing out, and it just hasn't happened.
Fair point. It's a fair point. All right, just getting a quick check of games going on right now before we get to one more game I want to touch on. The Braves have got in on the fun with the Yankees, so now they're both leading 9-0. That over-under has dropped a full run in Cleveland. It is now 7 with that game 3-1. No scoring since we last picked it up. It's bottom 5, runner on first for the Guardians. Tying run at the dish. Again, 1 out. Bottom 5, your live total is at 7. So I mentioned the Cubs. It's now 6.5 game deficit in the NL Central with the Brewers pacing themselves. They've got back on track, had that 14-game win streak, then went, I believe, 3-6 in their last 9, but they've won a couple games against the D-backs. Priester goes for Milwaukee. Nelson goes for the D-backs. You and I have talked about Nelson. We kind of liked him. It was a wild game yesterday. You talked earlier about this Astros over-under being a little, almost something that looks fishy because it looks too easy. We said that about yesterday's Brewers D-backs game. I got the win with the over 8. It was a rocking chair win from the start. Wild finish. Brewers get the win, walk it off. They're now $1.48 behind Priester. I feel like the Brewers are going to win, but I can't lay the $1.48.
Yeah, the bullpen a little shaky of late. I kind of got distracted this morning with the Yankees game starting as early as it did, and I was going to just parlay the Brewers and the Yankees, two teams that were both going for the sweep, both have good home records versus teams with bad road records, and just call it a day. Like that was just a simple handicap. Teams going for the sweep versus bad teams on the road. You know, they usually do it. So Priester 11-2, 3.44, great at home, 6-1. And the Brewers, just like the Mets, just a tremendous road home record, 45-22. And you figure they're going to get the job done. Although the bullpen the last 2 nights has been very shaky, big leads, they've blown it both times. Can you trust them? Can Priester go deep in the game? Nelson, totally different pitcher at home than on the road. 5.01 ERA on the road. So it should set up for a Brewers win. It looks kind of a little bit cheaper, but maybe that's just due to the fact that they know the Brewers bullpen is taxed. It hasn't been good. I would definitely lean Brewers. I don't have a play in the game yet, but I would definitely lean Brewers to get the sweep.
Yeah, this D-backs offense is lively, even though they're not in the playoff mix. It's not one that I think is just going to kind of pack it in. They typically at home more so than on the road, but they can get to you and get to some pitchers. And there's just sort of mediocre starting pitching throughout baseball with some of these guys like Wheeler going down. You just wonder what's left out there. And there's just some like you mentioned, some of the Nelson splits. Priester's okay. Even Mizorowski, who was like, this is like the second coming of Randy Johnson or something. He was he's been getting touched up, including the last game he pitched. And I think there's been 7 different favorites for NL Rookie of the Year. It's now Horton, the starting pitcher of the Cubs, but all these guys have just been so shaky. It's just really tough to lay chalk. And I've said it a bunch of times. When you're laying $1.48, Chris, you know this. You've been doing this a long time. You really have to win at a win a lot more than you think to make it profitable. So, not saying you should jump on the dog, but $1.48 is tough to make. To get value, to extract value out of it.
Yeah, that's why I wish I wasn't distracted and had it with the Yankees because the Yankees are just piling it on, and the Guardians got a run. So 3-2 now. We are in the 5th inning, bottom of the 5th, 3-2 with a guy on first, 2 out. So little
that was a 2-out rally for the Guardians. Hey, Rays are now minus 305. Minus 305. You want to bite on that one at all?
That's just, I don't know how they make that number. I know the Indians don't, whatever they're called, don't hit much, but they're only down 1 run with 4 innings to go. The Rays aren't exactly, the greatest team of all time. So I'm not going to get in. I do have an under, I played under 8 a little earlier. Hopefully we can hang on to that. We'll see what happens. But I wish I had teamed up the Brewers with the Yankees because the Brewers will probably win, but you're right. Minus 148. It's tough to lay. If you lose a couple, you got to win. You got to win 3 of every 5 to make money.
It's a really healthy way to look at things. Just to put it in kind of the most simplest form. That's the way to do it. Just kind of remind yourself. You mentioned the over/under. I said it went down to 7. Well, it's now back up to 8 in Cleveland. Minus 129 on the under juice at Bet Rivers. I will say this: Rasmussen only at 71 pitches. So there's 2 outs in the 5th. If he can get out of this with a runner on first, you still got him at 71 pitches. You can squeeze maybe 2 more innings out of him, maybe even 3, but highly doubtful. 2 is probably the most likely, all things considered. So maybe the $3 is worth it. But to your point, if the Cleveland can tie it up, they're the home team. That all of a sudden they become the favorite. So 1 run away from doing that. So 3 games with very different, at least 2 of them have very different live lines. once there's some balls in play. But the Braves are laying 8.5 right now, minus 165. Get this: the Yanks are up 10-0 with runners on. They're laying 12 with an over/under of 16. It's just awesome because I mean you're just basically saying like, will there be X? I mean this might come down. The over/under of 16 could come down to a pitcher, or sorry, a position player pitching in the ninth inning if this game stays out of hand, and it might be 14-2 or something, and you're sweating out an under, and a position player's on the bump in the ninth for the Nationals, or the eighth. I guess this would be the case in the bottom eight.
Yeah, we got to play at second right now. Tampa and Cleveland. He might be out stealing. We're not sure. I think there's a little bit of a review going on. Yeah, Yankees bases loaded. Anything can happen. The way the wind's blowing out there, you assume they're going to score some more runs. It's pretty pathetic though that the Nationals are playing in the same ballpark and they have none. So I guess I mean it's the same conditions for their hitters. They got nothing going on. Just looking to get out of New York. One of those games that.
Let me ask you this. The over-under is 15.5. Okay. Or the Yankees can just keep pounding. Why aren't we betting the over here? There's a lot of baseball left as they head to the fourth inning here.
Well, maybe because at some point they'll just go up, swinging at the first pitch just to get the heck out of town because, it is a blowout. But no, I mean, who knows? It's just surprising that some teams, if the conditions are right and one team's getting all the home runs, it's just weird that the other team's not doing anything.
I don't know if it's going to disrupt him when you have a bunch of, long half inning while your offense just goes around the bases. But Max Fried does have a no-hitter through 3. In fact, a perfect game. Just throwing it out there. I guess a better way to put it is he's perfect through 3. So he's in a groove. So if you're going to get any runs, it's probably going to need to come from the Yankees bats. Fried's not been the same as he was the first month and a half, 2 months of the season. But in a groove through 3 innings, the Yankees just put up a 9 spot in the third inning. So maybe keep an eye on what Max Fried looks like coming out of that long half inning to see if he's still in a groove facing the top of the Nats lineup with Wood, Abrams, and Adams set to do, set to hit the, go to the dish right now. What a weird game. Cavalli's already gone, giving up 7 earned and 2 1/3. Wild game with the Yankees up 10-0, and they're now laying the old 11.5 key number with an over/under of 15.5.
Yeah, to your point, when you have that long inning, it happened the other night when Skubal was dealing against the A's. He had 2 extended innings where he had to sit, it seemed like for almost a half hour. And he came out the next inning, got through it, but then and there was another long delay, and he came out and he just didn't have it. He was erratic. He was walking guys. He ended up giving up that grand slam. There was an error involved, but it's definitely a factor when these guys are in a groove. They want to just get right back out there every 5 to 7 minutes. You have to wait 25 minutes, 30 minutes between an inning. Definitely affects the starting pitcher. So that's something to look at when he comes out. If he's shaky, maybe you play a live over. Maybe the Nationals get involved there.
And I like their lineup at times. Like they've been dead today, dead yesterday, but at times they had a nice comeback last week against the Phillies, I want to say. But at times this lineup can actually get going. We have some interesting comments here in the comment section. Just want to remind everyone to join the conversation. Amish Farmer asking us that very point, Chris. How many runs do you think Fried will give up? And I think it does depend how he looks coming out after that long layoff in the top of the fourth. I think that's going to be a big component to this. So that's an interesting discussion. And we could go extras in Cleveland. It's a 3-2 game. And one of our audience, I don't know how to read the Catano. And that was beautiful. That was brutal. Why is it that road teams always lose when a game goes to extra innings? Well, there's a distinct advantage with the home team, right? They know what they need in the bottom half of the inning with the ghost runner. If they don't score, then there's going to be more likely a sacrifice to lead off the bottom half of that extra inning, or they can just, it's such a distinct advantage knowing what you need. And that's why we see that in college and NFL. In football with the deferring and in overtime, because it's so important to know what you need.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, although sometimes it's just crazy things happen in these extra inning games with the ghost runner. I've been seeing a lot of teams the last few nights try to bunt, but no one can get the bunt down. They either miss the.
They don't practice it anymore.
If you saw the Twins Blue Jays game last night, it was the Twins ended up winning the game. The Twins should have been up 10 they should have been up by 10 runs. but they were kept trailing. They and a guy tried to bunt. He missed the bunt, misses the catcher's glove. The guy on second is not paying attention. He gets thrown out. There's the fundamental level of baseball is at an all-time low. You got guys a Padre player popped up a bunt last night, turned into a double play. It was just some crazy things with the teams trying to bunt, but they can't do it. So, these extra inning games are nuts. You get that ghost runner on there, it changes the whole dynamic. And you're right. Obviously, if you know that you only need one run, you can get the guy over, hit a sacrifice fly, game's over. But I would still be trying to get that run over in the top half of the inning. I mean, would you rather be up by one run or would you rather be tied? I mean, just get the run in under any circumstance. Some of these guys refuse to bunt. They don't want to sacrifice. They just go for the hit every time. They don't even try to move the runner over. They're still swinging for the fences. It's just it's crazy to me, but that's just the way baseball is this day. It's all the analytics. It's just a different game.
It's a different game, but it's also like taking the points. There's no guarantee the bunt moves the guy over. And when there's a guy on third with one out, there's no guarantee that guy can get him over and hit it deep enough, especially with all the off-speed stuff. He's going to be golfing swings and misses. So it's incredibly frustrating. If you can buy out of stuff that goes to extras, I feel like that's always the right way to approach things. But, it's hard to have a hard, fast rule, all things considered. Max Fried still in a groove, by the way. The Nats are going quietly, 2 up, 2 down. So looking to go through the fourth in perfect fashion. And that over-under trickling down. It's now 15. So here I am thinking over 16 might be the right price. Couple outs later, we're at 15. I don't know who the Nats are going to trot out there in the fourth inning and how these Yankees bats are going to go quietly, especially with the jet stream, as you mentioned, to right or right center. I'm really interested to see how many runs the Yankees finish up with. Do you have a guess before we sign off here, Chris?
Let's go with 13. Baker's dozen.
All right. So the question is, will Max Fried throw a perfect game? Would you bet on a perfect game at a certain price? What price would that take?
Oh, there's not going to be a perfect game because in 2025 Major League Baseball, they don't even let the pitcher pitch 9 innings. So how could he possibly throw a perfect game?
Maybe it combines. You're right. He's almost at 50 pitches and threw 4. So that would be tough to get there because he's got, I guess, too many strikeouts. If I, doing the math quickly, he's got a strikeout per inning. We'll see. We'll see. It's a fascinating situation. But I guess as for now, that long layoff did not disrupt Max Fried's outing, at least for now. Hey, we got a bunch of other great stuff here on the Bet Rivers Network. Released yesterday, Betting Weekly Dojo with Nigel Seeley and Neil Channing discussing how to beat the sportsbooks odds with NFL props, with the season starting 1 week from tomorrow. So a lot of good content. I also mentioned the WNBA. We are red hot in the show. We are perfect this week in Betting Weekly Fast Break in the W. Wes Reynolds is going to join me top of the hour in about 20 minutes from now. So certainly join us for that. This is my last hardball of the week. Chris, you're back on with the Bull on Friday. Tomorrow it's Adam and Wes. And I'll be doing, like I said, Betting Weekly Fast Break coming up in about 20 minutes with Wes Reynolds. We have a couple games in the W, and Bet Rivers has done a really great job with adjusted win totals every day. So there's like some teams in the WNBA have like 5 games left, and you can bet whether they're going to go 4-1, 3-2, things like that with the adjusted win totals. And it's certainly getting exciting with the playoff push with some others. So we're going to check in on that. Chris, always good to be with you. Like I said, we got to do more than once a week, but we're going to track these games, track our regular pre-flop plays the rest of the way. We want to encourage everyone Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, right here on the Bet Rivers Network, but also join us top of the hour for Betting Weekly Fast Break as we look to continue to stay hot in the WNBA. So for Chris Macero and everyone behind the scenes who does such a fantastic job to make this presentation look so good, I'm Doug Kezirian. Best of luck with your wagers out there, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.